And I have nothing to drink. Alright. Hello, folks, and welcome to a review and thoughts. Alright. So I meant to watch this film before on Tubi. Then I decided I'll watch it right now. Alright. This movie is over 2 hours, which I was like, what? Because I was watching a review of it while I was watching the film. And yeah, they mentioned, oh, it's 2 hours and 8 minutes or whatever. I'm like, wow. And I'm like, oh, I get it. Because this movie is called Close Calls. I swear, like, some people say it's 2019 it came out, but then 2017 is the year it pulls up here, so I'm looking at it on Google. But basically, it is a drug-addicted teenager has to deal with her crazy grandmother and a psychotic phone caller. When her father leaves her home alone, she is forced to face some of her worst fears and inner demons when she believes everyone is plotting against her. And is directed by Richard Stringham. Okay, Richard, you need to ease up on the mushrooms, because what I heard in a review is that the reviewer looked this movie up. Apparently, I guess the director, writer, he was on mushrooms when he thought of this, and when he was writing it, I guess. So, and it shows, because this movie makes you think you're on acid or you're tripping balls in scenes. I mean, I was trying to look this girl up that plays the lead, Jordon Phipps, who plays Morgan Mackenzie, I think. Or she plays Morgan anyway. Teenage daughter of some guy who dies. Yeah, I tried to look her up, and it was kind of hard, because there's like different, because I wanted to know her age, because when I first saw her, she looked like a teenager, like maybe 16, 17, so I looked her up. No, she's like 24, I guess. I say I guess, because the site that I looked, that I kept bringing up her age, so I guess she is 24, and then I saw it said I guess she has a kid, I don't know, because it said children, and it said one, so I don't know how accurate that site is, but yeah, she's for sure an adult, for sure. But yeah, she acts like a teenager anyway. But the acting, and I was surprised because, and then I read, oh, she got her big break from this film. She got a fan base apparently from this film, which is pretty cool. That's cool. But I was more surprised the fact that she won an award for either this performance or for, well, I'm assuming for the performance or best acting, I guess. Which I'm like, what? How? Because, I mean, the acting in this is trying to do is Argento, is trying to homage to different Italian horror back in the day, 70s, 80s, 90s, or really 70s and 60s or whatever. And it tries to do that here, and it in some spots maybe it's okay, but then it does way too much when it lingers on characters that, like, the camera will just linger on two people talking in a scene, and it's awkward because it's just them standing around and they're just talking. The camera doesn't cut back and forth like it should. No, it's like this. You have a person here and a person here, and they're just talking to each other on the camera in a dumb scene that I will get to. And this character, I couldn't really like her much, because granted she lost her mom, so that's sad. But the fact that she like disrespects her dad, and she's trying to, like, she does drugs, and cocaine, and so she's like a hardcore chick and all that. And okay, wow. I guess she's supposed to be what, 16, 17. But like this movie tries to do like a When a Stranger Calls as well. Which I would say the remake's a better movie because it was shorter, and I like the commentary, and not the oral allegory, but I'm talking about the actual writer of the movie that wrote that movie. I listened to his commentary. I got more out of that than I did out of this movie, because at least that movie, it ends with a granted a lame jump scare, but the girl survives at the end. Granted, she survives in this, but then you might as well say she's dead, because I guess she gets locked away like Fiona in Shrek upstairs in the attic, because it wants to be a sour movie as well. But yeah, the movie's mainly this one girl who does drugs. She trips balls. I made a joke where maybe this is all an illusion in her mind. And there's a scene in this towards the end where I'm like, oh, maybe that's what it is. But then I'm like, no, because then she has a cut on her leg and she got bandaged up. So I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm thinking, maybe the grandma switched places with her and locked her up in the attic, and then now she's living the household, I guess, or something. I swear that the grandma mentioned something about she'll make her feel what it's like to be locked up or something, or kept up away in this dungeon or whatever. And then there's a point where I thought, did Rob Zombie help not direct, but help with the set design? Because there's a scene in there towards the end where the lead girl, she goes all bare, all nude, and it's glorious. And she's walking, and there's this, it's all practical, which is pretty cool, but it's like this underworld surroundings. There's like this goo on the floor and fog and weird looking dirty doors. And then we get, I guess it's supposed to be her mom, who's a demon, but then she's like, I forget what she even said in that scene, but she's like, "Love me, mom," or something. And then the mom either screams at her and looks all ghostly, and then she wakes up, and then it's written on her leg, Morgan's pills. So then I guess she has to be on, I don't know. And then the dad mentioned that I guess she's going back to rehab. So I'm like, how old was she when she even went to rehab? So yeah. So, but yeah, the girl in this overall, she's a babe. I mean, she made me want to go, damn! That was pretty much it. Like, again, there's not really any, it's a home invasion film, but it's a lame one. Like, it's one of those, it's not even trying, like, again, it's trying to be a throwback to retro Italian horror, and then also 80s horror, but it wants to be also, and it's set in modern day, because actually she has a cell phone, and dad takes the cell phone, and they have to use the house phone, which who uses nowadays? And like, then there's like a scene where her boyfriend comes over, and then there's a weird, she ends up doing drugs with him, but then he, like, came over, I guess, because he thought they were gonna bang, and she's like, no, we're not doing that. And then this movie, apparently during production, I guess it got marked with what is the word? It's controversial or scandalous, because there's a scene, and there's, well, technically two scenes. There's one scene where the boyfriend he gave her like these hallucinogenic drugs, and while she's like having all this blackoutness and like laying back, he's going to town on her. And that's horrible. And then the fact that like she doesn't like they address it, but it's like, oh, how could you do that to me? How, you know what I'm talking about? And then she just like, she doesn't like get as mad with him as she should be, such as, you just violated me, and you know, that's okay with her. I guess, like, it wasn't okay with her, but at the same time she wasn't like as mad as she should be. So I'm like, how did this girl even get an award for that? That is a scene where they should have allowed her to have more range and be like real dramatic with it. But no, it's just like swept. It's like mentioned in a scene, and then she just goes off. She's like, if you want to leave, well, I forget what she even said after that. If you want to leave, and then she just walks off, goes back in the house. And then he's an idiot. Because he hears voices in the greenhouse, I believe. So he goes in there. We don't know what happens to him. I assume he's dead. We hear his voice on the phone, because she gets phone calls throughout this movie. Somebody keeps stalking and calling her. So I guess the killer was killing him on the phone. But yeah, and I'm like, I didn't care about that character because, one, he wasn't really likable. Two, he's really not likable because he just violated his girlfriend, and then doesn't feel sorry about it. And then he's like, I don't even get what you're so mad about. You used to be fun. I'm like, wow. And it makes me not even have respect for her because she doesn't have respect for herself as well. But then she tries to be like, I'm not going to be your whore anymore. But then later on, like, she literally, another scene where a guy, a friend of the dad's, not, technically he is a friend of the dad, he stops by, and at first she's hesitant to let him in the house, which, alright, she's being smart. But then, because it's raining out and storming, and then she feels bad, so then she opens the door, and she's like, you're gonna drown out there. Mind you, in this entire movie, all she's been wearing is a bra and underwear. And she's supposed to be like 16, 17, and then she lets this grown man in the house. She lets this grown man in the house. One, why? Two, after you do, the fact that you let him in is stupid, but then before you let him in, and you see him turn around, and he gives the most biggest Joker. It's like if you didn't know the guy was if you didn't think the guy was a weirdo or a predator, or, you know, one of the Joker's members, Joker gang, soon as he gives that smile, it's like, it's over. And she lets him in the house. And the camera lingers on his smile. And I'm like, wow. And then, but yeah, she lets him in the house. And then, that's the scene where they're just standing around, awkwardly, like in the same scene, just going back and forth. And the camera's not cutting, like, to her face or his face. It's just both of them full body just talking to each other awkwardly. For like 10, 20, 15 minutes. I'm like, why? Like, some of this should have been cut out. And then he's like, I need a drink after this, after getting swept up in that rain. And then she's like, oh, and my dad finds out I'm drinking, he'll kill me. But then she encourages the guy to drink, because then she lets him in her dad's bar. And then he's like, and during this, and as soon as the guy gets beer, she's still, after that scene, she's still in like a t-shirt, even though she had it open, so you can see her bra. And she doesn't even bother to put pants on, which I'm like, whatever at this point, you know. And then he's like, come on, I'll get a drink with me, even though she's underage, and she even mentions, I'm a minor. And then he's like, come on, and then she does it. Then she decides to drink with him. And then he's like, you know, I used to watch you when you were 15. And she's like, what? And then he's like, you know, not to be weird, just because you used to sneak coolers or whatever in your room or whatever. And she's like, oh, yeah. And then then he's like, yeah, you used to be pretty with the pink tails or whatever he said. And I'm going, you know the creep, or red, red, the alarm for creep or whatever, or creep, alert or whatever. Yeah, that's going, the creep bell, that's going off. He needs to go. It's time to go, sir, because you're promoting underage drinking, and you just made her uncomfortable when you announced that you used to watch her as a 15-year-old. But then she doesn't care, because he's like, because she's like, I need some ice with this. He's like, you're supposed to drink cognac or whatever without ice. And she's like, I know. So then she decides to just drink it. And then she mentions how that guy used to bang her dad's girlfriend that she doesn't like. And then the whole time she's like telling him this, his face like switches back and forth from, that's not true. What are you talking about? That can't be true. Like, his face, literally, it's like his Jekyll and Hyde. Like, he changes from worried to a smile, to worried to a smile. And I'm like, dude, are you okay? You have personality disorder or something? But then, also, during that scene, she's like, you know what, I don't care that you're screwing, my dad's girlfriend. I just want to know about the girl or woman, so I don't know why she wants to know about her. But then he cocks her in the face and just knocks her out. Just point blank as she's on the floor. And I'm like, why'd you do that? But then it's like, oh yeah, he's working with the dad's girlfriend to frame the daughter so she can have a drug overdose, so the girlfriend that the dad's dating it was to me. And that's what she explained, and that's what he was explaining. Because he's getting paid to do that to her. Because when he wakes, because he has her tied up. And, yeah, stuff goes on there. And that scene was going on way too long. And then, soon as he is about to, like, I guess since he's about to, get her done, she's like, I need to pee, and you can watch me pee. I just need to pee. And he turns around so dramatically, I swear. He turns around as if she insulted him so bad, or she called him a name, and he's like offended. But no, he's like, what'd you say to me? She's like, I have to pee. You can watch me pee. I forget what he even said after that, but then it cuts to him and her going in the bathroom. And then, I'll just show you the scene. That's what I'll do. I'll just show you the scene. Why are you acting like that? You already saw her like that. You already know she's a brick house. But yeah, he does that, and then that happens, and I'm like, please don't show, during that whole scene, I'm like, please don't show him finish. Please don't show him finish and show all his goo on her face, and then it's like, ew. Because then this movie will went way, way over, regular indie, sleazy wannabe, whatever. Because then it would just, but no, it doesn't do that, thankfully. And, and I'm like, I guess you can survive a razor to the throat, because apparently this guy does. And so, the dad and girlfriend get home, because she calls them, because she calls him for help, and then he goes back to the house, of course. And they get there, and then he's like, what are you doing with half naked? And then she's like, I'll show you the guy that's in there. I love her, the fact that she's so mean to the girlfriend, where she's like, I Screw you and everyone that looks like you. I don't know, something the way she delivered that line. That's the best acting she did in the entire movie. I'm saying it right now. Because everything else I thought was exceptional to pretty good to decent. She wasn't amazing like most people are claiming she is. I don't get why she gets so much praise other than I think I know why. And it's not, and it's very obvious why. But other than that, like, that's the best acting. And then maybe the ending where she's crying at the end, but yeah, the dad dies because the girlfriend kills him. And it tries to do this cool rotating thing where it's just the two actors and they're on this rotating thing, so it looks like they're rotating as they're talking, and then it has like comic, where they cut the. It's like a comic book where it has like panels, different panels as they're talking. So that was pretty cool. So some of the aesthetics are pretty cool. Some of the shots are fine. The editing's fine. Although again, it in some spots, but then editing's questionable because there's times it's all right, and then it's like this is going on too long. And again, the movie's 2 hours long, so I don't even know how I stayed connected. But I did. Yeah, everything else, like it. I mean, then it does this cat and mouse thing where she hits the girlfriend, knocks her out a bit, then she runs off, hits her again, then she runs off. And then, and I wasn't really prepared for this scene where the girlfriend, oh yeah, she has a grandma. I meant to also mention she has a grandma in this who lives upstairs in the attic that she has to give pills to every hour or whatever. That the grandma's room up in the attic looks like it's from Evil Dead. I swear, like I don't know what the dad was thinking when he decided to make the grandma feel at home, I guess, maybe, so that maybe she's used to that. But then she has like scenes where she's freaking out, and I don't know if she has Alzheimer's or something, or worships. I don't know if she does like satanic stuff up in that room because the way it looks, possibly. And then she speaks in weird voices, so I'm like, is she possessed? But yeah, she killed the grandma's the one that kills the evil stepmom or whatever. And so, yeah, she bites her a bit, then she bites her neck, and that woman that played the stepmom, like, she was fine in spots, but then when her death scene came up and she's like choking on her blood or whatever, and she's going way too dramatic, that's way too much, it's too hammy, and that went on too long a bit, a few minutes too long, and then I hear leaking. I hear like water leaking. Oh no. And now the grand finale. Here it is, folks. At first I thought that was the blood leaking out, so that's why I thought that's what that noise was. But no, it's Granny relieving herself. And it's like, oh. I'm like, maybe she calmed down, that's what it is. But no, she's just... She's downright, R. Kelly in that lady. With no. And I'm thinking it's her blood, like, squirting out or leaking out. No, it's the grandma standing over the woman, peeing on her. Because it shows the grandma's face where she's calm. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, now she's normal. She's back to her. She went Bruce Banner. She's alright. She's not Hulk anymore. No, she's standing over the woman and just peeing. And I'm like, wow. I didn't think this movie would go there, but it did. So I guess it's a fan of R. Kelly as well. Alright. And it's a corpse, so... He does live people. This woman did a dead woman. All right. And then the Morgan character throughout this movie has asthma, So I guess she must have passed out. But I'm thinking, I don't know if drugs and asthma go well together. But okay. And she does drugs even after the fact that she told her dad, there's a guy in the house trying to kill us. But no, she decides, because he sends her up to her room or whatever. So she does. She goes to her room. But then the next scene we see her, she's with a bong or a pipe or whatever. And she's like doing drugs outside. I'm like, wow. I'm like, how is she not even, phased out? and the fact that the dad didn't smell alcohol on her breath is whatever. But yeah, the dad dies. Then the grandma kills the stepmom, whatever. And in the movie, it does like a Rob Zombie Halloween 2, where that movie was trippy as well, with the scenes of Michael and his mom, and especially that dinner scene where Laurie's on the table and she's like freaking out, and it's shot sort of like that, except it's in color. And not as crazy, but the look of it is crazy. It's not the crazy editing, but it's the fact that like the set design's crazy. This is a nice set design and everything, practical, but and then she wakes up and like I guess the grandma switched her in her gown and put her gown on Morgan, and now she's stuck in the attic for all time, I guess, because she tries to bang on the door, nobody's answering, and the phones keeps ringing, and then it pans to the greenhouse, I believe, and then it just cuts to black, and then it's edited, wrote, directed by, and then I'm like, screw this movie, because So again, overall, my thoughts on this, I would say, if you like, Argento, Italian horror, throwback, 60s, 70s, 80s, Italian horror, and even it does homage like Black Christmas or some of the other slasher films, I would say still watch it. I'll say the kills aren't really much, because there's only like the dad, the evil stepmom, and the creepy guy. Oh, and the boyfriend. Yeah, although we don't see the aftermath of the boyfriend, so technically just 3 people you see dead in lame ways. So yeah, I would say still watch it. Still give it I would still recommend it if you're, again, a fan of retro horror. But yeah, don't go into this thinking it's amazing. I don't know, like, again, like, the girl played Morgan. She's not a bad actress, but again, she got an award for the film. I don't know why, but then I think I know why. And it's not for her acting. But overall, it's fine. But the ending's weird. It doesn't answer a lot, really. But I would still recommend it again. But yeah, thanks for watching. If anybody would like to request content such as movie reviews, commentaries, reaction videos, whatever have you, link to Patreon down below, or PayPal, or if you want to just donate to the channel, that's fine. Or if you don't want to, that's cool too. But yeah, thanks for watching, take care, and